Hi everyone, Jennifer Blevins-Smith with Integral Clinic Solutions, and you're watching my YouTube channel, Navigating the Business of Medicine. Today I want to talk about cautions when hiring a third-party biller and credentialing service. I am doing this video because I have run across this with multiple clients and also commenters on my YouTube channel about some frustrations and challenges that they have run into when they have a third-party billing company and or credentialing company. A lot of times a billing company will also do credentialing, but you don't usually find, or it's difficult to find, a company that only does credentialing and not multiple other services. Like they might say, we'll do your credentialing if you use us as a billing service, or we offer credentialing services and management services and consulting services. It's not usually just one thing of credentialing that they offer. Some of the challenges that clients run into, especially when they no longer use the companies that they originally hired to do these services, is they do not have access to their accounts at the insurances and or on the payer portals. When these companies are setting up the accounts with the insurances, requesting contracts, setting up the payer portals, they're listing themselves as the administrators. They're listing themselves as the main contact at the company or for the portal, and that is a major concern. You are hiring them as a third party. They are working for you. Therefore, you should honestly be the person who is listed as the administrator, listed as the main point of contact. Yes, they are the ones that most likely will be contacting the insurances or using those payer portals. However, they can be granted user access or co-administers with those products, but they shouldn't be the sole administrator. It depends on the insurance, it depends on the payer portal, but like I said, a lot of times you can be a co-administrator and assign that to them, but also be there. So if you discontinue using their services or something happens, you still can access, see, obtain information that you need to for your business. It is very, very difficult to change administrators on these accounts once the person leaves and is no longer available to pass that administrative role on to you. There are usually different user levels, so it's appropriate to maybe you be the administrator, and if they don't need access of what an administrator would need access to, then you grant them all the permissions in which they do need access. Claims, remittance, eligibility, if they do your authorizations, things like that. The payer portals have gotten really, really good at kind of itemizing the different roles so that you can be selective when you're assigning these. There's a very good possibility that at these third-party companies, vendors, that not everyone who's working on your account needs access to everything. Maybe they only have certain staff that focus on the authorizations or eligibility portion. Maybe they only have staff that focus on claims, submission, and correction. Maybe they only have certain staff that payment post and need access to ERAs. Again, remember the HIPAA guidelines. HIPAA guidelines state that you have to give the access that is needed for the person to do their job. It's the minimum access required to complete or fulfill their obligations. Therefore, if somebody never posts payments, then why would they have access to your remittance? If they solely focus on coding and scrubbing and sending claims, then they would not need access, right? Or if somebody is only focusing on obtaining authorizations, they need to know the patient's benefits eligibility, but they don't need to see the claims and the remittance. You see what I'm saying? That's the payer portal portion. The access to grant somebody ability to get information at the insurances, like if you were to call, is a little different. They are definitely separate situations. So you have the permissions and the contact person at the insurance company over here, and then you have the payer portals over here. And sometimes you have to use both in order to get different information, or if a payer portal is down or a website's down, you have to call. So we talked about the payer portals mainly just in this earlier part of the video, but what about obtaining the permissions to call the insurance so that they will speak with you about specific claims, about specific patient accounts? A lot of insurances have gone to creating like a list in their system of who is authorized to speak to them on your behalf. If the billing company has only listed themselves, or the credentialing company has only listed themselves in their credentialing contracting department or in the billing department, or just in your account in general, when you call, you're going to run into roadblocks, and that's going to be very frustrating, and it's not okay. Again, you're paying them, they work for you. So you, as the owner provider, should always be on everything. Even if you have a manager that handles most of the stuff, they should be on there as well. The Blue Crosses across the nation tend to be one of the most strict in my experience, where they will not speak to anyone unless they have it documented in their system with whatever requirements they have to speak on the behalf and look up information on claims and patients. If your insurance company is giving you grief about this, then you need to go to your billing company and your credentialing company. If they could be the same, that's fine. And they need to start switching everything over to you as the administrator, to addresses, phone numbers, email addresses, especially of your business to be the main contact, for you to receive the communication. This does carry a little bit extra responsibility on your behalf, because when you receive the communication from the insurance companies or an email, you have to make sure you're checking them regularly and you are forwarding it to the powers that be that need to know what is being said in there so it can be taken care of. You can't just ask them to switch everything over to your main contact information and then not be diligent about staying on top of checking your inboxes, checking your snail mail, and forwarding it, informing whoever needs to be informed to fix, work, whatever it is that's being communicated by the insurance company. This is somewhere, again, that I see a lot of places will have struggles where everything is going well and it's not an issue until it becomes an issue and you're trying to work backwards. Like I said, where you stop using a certain third-party vendor for a service and you're trying to switch to a different service, or you're trying to bring it in-house. It is very time consuming to try to switch everything over in hindsight, because you're playing against the clock, right? As long as you don't have access to those portals, as long as you are unable to call the insurance to get the information you need on claims and patient information, it puts you behind in your revenue cycle. It could be a patient safety issue. It could be something where it delays care to a patient because you can't get an authorization or you can't get information that you need in order to continue a patient's plan of care. That would be terrible, but I see it a lot. And so this video is just to bring awareness. If you're not sure who's listed as an administrator in a payer portal, if you're not sure who has permissions at the insurance company to speak with them about your patients and your patients' claims, you need to ask the questions. You need to find out from the billing company, find out from the credentialing company, who did they put as the main source of contact when re-credentialing is going to be due for these providers? What happens if you only hired a company to do the initial credentialing contracting and you're going to maintain it moving forward, and they put all of their contact information in and they are notified when you need to be re-credentialed or your providers need to be re-credentialed, and you're not receiving that because you're not the main source of contact? That could be very, very bad. And maybe they don't forward it to you. They don't notify you because they don't work with you anymore. You have to be proactive and not reactive, because being reactive is very costly with time, with money, and patient care. If you have any questions or comments about this, please leave that in the comments below. Smash the thumbs up button if today's video was helpful, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I would appreciate it if you would share my videos with any of your colleagues whom you feel would benefit from the content. I appreciate your support, and we will see you next time.